The stars above Colony Arvin 9 looked cold and silent. No ships came. No signals arrived. Humanity was alone. It had been 50 years since the Galactic Council had banned Earth and its colonies from interstellar contact. No trade. No aid. Just silence. Rayan Solas worked in a dusty repair bay deep inside the colony. At 29, he was already one of the best engineers in the sector. Tall, lean, with sharp eyes and calm hands, he spent his days fixing broken machines and his nights studying old data logs from before the ban. One evening, while searching through a sealed storage vault, Rayan found something strange. It was a black metal cube, cold to the touch, humming softly. It didn't match any known human or council tech. Curious, he brought it back to his workshop. He scanned the device. It resisted every tool he used, until suddenly it lit up. A low voice spoke in an alien language. Then it switched to Old Earth Standard, Wormhole Protocol Alpha, Gateway Location, Sector 8, Grid 14-7. Status: Dormant. Potential access: Confirmed. Rayan's heart pounded. A wormhole. Still active. That was impossible. The Council had destroyed all known routes out of human space. He played the message again. Same result. The coordinates pointed to a ruined space field just outside Arvin 9, an area left untouched since the Great Ban. He knew what it meant. A chance to break the silence. A way to reach the stars again. But it was dangerous. If the Council found out, they would send ships. They would shut it down. Maybe worse. Rayan sat in the dark workshop, staring at the cube. For years, he had only dreamed of hearing another voice from the galaxy. Now he had found one, and it was calling him to act. He picked up the cube and whispered to himself, "If there's even a chance, I have to try." Outside, the stars kept shining. Rayan stood at the edge of the ruined space field the next morning. The wind howled through broken towers and rusted antennas. The ground was covered in metal debris, remnants of the last ships that had tried to leave after the ban. He held the cube in his hand. It pulsed with a soft blue light, guiding him. After hours of searching, Rayan found something buried beneath the rubble. An old Earth ship, half sunk into the ground. The nameplate read ECS Horizon. It was one of the first exploration vessels Earth had sent out before the ban. Inside, the ship was dark and silent. Rayan moved carefully through the wreck, his boots echoing on the metal floor. Then he saw it. At the back of the ship, hidden behind thick walls and layers of dust, was a massive metal ring. It was old, but intact. A wormhole gateway. His hand shook as he scanned it. The readings were faint but real. The gate was dormant, but not dead. It needed power. A lot of it. Rayan returned to Arvin 9 that night with a plan. He couldn't do this alone. He needed help, people who believed in the same dream. Over the next week, Rayan traveled across nearby colonies. He took a small ship and flew in secret, using old smuggler routes. Many people didn't want to talk. Some shut their doors. Others laughed at him. But not everyone. In a mining colony called Vexus 3, he met Eli Mayer, an ex-pilot grounded after a crash. Eli had once flown faster-than-light missions for the Outer Fleet. Now he lived alone, bitter and forgotten. But when Rayan showed him the data, Eli's eyes lit up. This could change everything," Eli said. "You really think it'll work?" "It has to," Rayan replied. Eli joined him. In a scrapyard colony on Fedlos 6, Rayan met Nova, a skilled hacker who had been jailed by the Council for leaking military secrets. She had escaped years ago and now lived off-grid, hiding among broken machines. She didn't trust people, but Rayan's quiet conviction made her pause. "You're serious about this?" she asked. "Yes," Rayan said. Nova smiled faintly. "Then I'm in. Let's stir the stars a bit." They added Dr. Selen Vora, a scientist from an abandoned research base, and Tarn, a quiet soldier who had lost his family during the council purges. Each of them had their own reasons, but all of them believed in something bigger. Meanwhile, far away on the council capital station, High Executor Valenthrex sat in a vast hall, watching a red blinking alert. Unusual energy readings detected in band zone. Possible wormhole activity. Threx narrowed his eyes. Send a scout ship. I want answers. Now. Back on Arvin 9, Rayan looked around at the small group standing beside him. 5 people. 1 dream. 1 chance. We found the gate, Rayan told them. Now we power it. We get it working. We show the galaxy that humanity is still here. Nova smirked. And still stubborn. Tarn nodded. Let's get to work. As the stars watched silently above, the spark of hope began to burn. The gateway stood tall inside the wreck of ECS Horizon, covered in dust and shadow. Rayan and his team stared at it in silence. It was real. It was massive. And it was old, far older than any human-made wormhole tech. Dr. Selen Vora walked around it, scanning every bolt and wire. This design, it's alien, but someone adapted it with Earth tech. Someone tried to activate it before. Rayan looked at the cube in his hand. Then we finish what they started. The team set up a temporary base inside the ship. Eli ran power from the colony grid through thick, humming cables. Nova hacked into the control system buried under layers of encrypted code. Rayan worked non-stop, welding damaged conduits and rewiring the gateway core. They barely slept. The air was thick with heat and static. 3 days later, they made progress. The gateway lit up, dim at first, then brighter. The ring began to hum with a deep, steady sound. It's waking up, Nova whispered. But with the light came danger. The same evening, while Rayan was calibrating the stabilizers, alarms rang through the wreck. Council drone incoming, Eli shouted, checking the radar. Fast. 1 ship. Rayan's heart dropped. They had been found. Get ready, Tarn said, loading his pulse rifle. The drone was sleek and deadly. It flew low over the colony and fired a warning shot near the wreck. Dust and metal flew into the air. It hovered, scanning, then opened fire. Cover the gate, Rayan yelled. Nova ducked behind a control panel. Sparks flew as the drone struck the side of the ship. Ela jumped into the turret of their transport ship and fired back. His shots hit the drone's wing, but it kept coming. Dr. Vora tried to protect the data core. We can't let them destroy the system. The drone locked on to her position. Rayan turned just in time to see the missile fire. Dax, no, he screamed. Dax, Rayan's old friend and tech assistant, ran forward and pushed Vora aside. The missile hit him directly. The explosion shook the ground. Smoke filled the ship. When it cleared, Dax was gone. Rayan dropped to his knees. Silence filled the air. The drone was gone, damaged and retreating. But the cost was clear. They buried Dax under the stars that night. A simple grave. No words. Later, Rayan sat alone in the wreckage, staring at the cube again. He turned it over in his hands, searching for meaning. Suddenly, the cube lit up and spoke again. A calm, alien voice echoed. Peace must be your power. Show them what you've learned. Rayan closed his eyes. He understood now. This mission wasn't just about reconnecting with the galaxy. It was about showing they were no longer the same humans who had been banned. They had to rise, not through war, but through change. The team returned to work the next day, quieter, but more focused. No one spoke much, but something in them had shifted. They had lost someone, but they had also found purpose. The gateway still stood. And now, more than ever, they would open it. The days that followed Dax's death were heavy with silence. No one laughed. No one joked, but no one gave up either. Rayan worked harder than ever. He barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Dax, smiling, working, sacrificing himself. Now, Rayan had to make that sacrifice mean something. Inside the wreck of ECS Horizon, the team finished the final repairs. The wormhole gateway pulsed with a low hum, glowing blue. It was almost ready. Dr. Vora stepped back from the control console. "We need one last thing." An energy surge strong enough to start the wormhole. Rayan nodded. "We'll use the colony's power core." Nova's eyes widened. "That'll black out the entire grid." "It's worth it," Rayan said. "Just for a moment. That's all we need." Meanwhile, the Galactic Council moved quickly. High Executor Valen Threx sat in his private command chamber. He watched a live feed from the damaged scout drone. It showed grainy footage of the gateway, active and glowing. "Activate Protocol 0, Threx said coldly. "Full assault team. I want that gateway destroyed and the humans silenced." "Yes, Executor." Across the galaxy, sleek black council ships began to move toward Arvin 9. Back on the colony, Rayan addressed the people. He stood on a raised platform in the main square, speaking into a transmitter that reached nearby colonies. "This is Rayan Solis. We found a wormhole. It works. We can reconnect with the stars. The Council doesn't want you to know this, but it's true." His voice was calm, clear. "We are not the same people they banned. We've changed. We've suffered. We've learned. We deserve a voice again." Static crackled across the channel. Then one voice responded. Then another. Then dozens. "We're with you. Tell us what to do. Long live Earth." Hope was spreading. That night, the team made final preparations. Eli checked the ship's weapons. Tarn loaded the defense systems. Nova finished the launch code. Suddenly, alarms blared. "Council ships inbound," Dr. Vora shouted. 3 destroyers. ETA, 2 hours. They were coming fast. Rayan turned to the team. "We hold them off. We power the gate, no matter what." Everyone nodded. The colony lit up with movement. Old ships were pulled out of storage. Defense cannons activated. People took up arms, not to fight a war, but to protect a dream. As the first council ship entered orbit, the ground shook. Missiles rained from above. The sky burned red. Eli flew their transport ship into the air, dodging fire and returning blasts. Tarn led ground troops to protect the gate. Nova stayed inside, fingers dancing across the console. "Power core linked," she called. "Gate charging." Rayan watched the wormhole ring begin to spin. Lights flashed across its surface. A deep, humming sound grew louder. Suddenly, a council missile struck the outer hull. Part of the wreck collapsed. Sparks flew. Nova cried out as the console shorted. "I can fix it," she shouted, diving into the smoke. Another explosion shook the ground, but the gate kept charging. From orbit, Threx watched with growing anger. "Why won't they stop?" he hissed. An officer turned to him. "Executor, our fleet reports resistance from local colonies. They're rising up." Threx's face went pale. "What?" "Humans across the sector. They're joining the effort." Threx stood silent, watching the wormhole pulse brighter and brighter. Inside the wreck, Rayan stood before the gateway. "We're almost there," he whispered. Outside, fire rained from the sky. But inside the hearts of the people, something brighter burned. The sky above Arvin 9 burned with fire and smoke. The Council fleet had arrived, 3 massive destroyers and a wave of smaller attack ships. Their weapons lit up the night, striking the ground with deadly precision. But the colony did not fall. Rayan stood inside the control room of ECS Horizon, watching the wormhole gateway. It spun slowly, glowing with power. The gateway was almost ready. One more surge, and it would open. Outside, Eli flew their ship through thick waves of fire. His hands gripped the controls tight. "They're everywhere," he shouted through the comm. "We need cover." Tarn and the local fighters took positions around the crash site, firing back with old cannons and modified pulse rifles. Dust clouds rose around them. The council troops were better armed, but the defenders had something stronger: purpose. Nova sat at the console, face covered in sweat and grime. "Power at 90%, she said. "One more minute." Suddenly, a council ship broke through the clouds and aimed directly at the gate. Rayan grabbed the radio. "Eli, that ship's headed for us." "I see it," Eli replied. His ship soared upward, cutting across the sky. He fired 2 plasma bolts. One missed, the other hit. The council ship veered off, trailing smoke. But another took its place. "We can't hold them off much longer," Tarn said. He fired again, taking out a ground drone. "We need that gate open." Nova hit the last command. Charging complete. Opening the wormhole now. The gateway flashed bright blue. The spinning ring roared, sending out a wave of energy that pushed everyone back. Then it settled, and a glowing tunnel appeared inside it. Deep, swirling, endless. Rayan stared at it, stunned. It worked. But the council wasn't done. A voice boomed from orbit. It was High Executor Valenthrex. "This is your final warning. Shut down the gateway or be destroyed. Earth has no place in this galaxy." Rayan stepped up to the comm. "We're not the same people you exiled," he said. His voice was strong, steady. "We've suffered, we've grown, and we will not be silent anymore." There was silence. Then, something unexpected. One of the council ships paused. Another voice came over the comm. A woman's voice. Calm. Firm. "This is Captain Siren of Council Ship Bora. We stand with Earth. We will not fire." Everyone in the control room looked up. Another ship pulled back. Then another. Only one destroyer remained loyal to Threx. On the surface, the remaining council troops began to retreat. Some even surrendered. Rayan felt his heart lift. They were seeing it. The truth. The change. Suddenly, the last destroyer fired one final missile, straight at the gateway. Rayan ran to the override panel. "Nova, shut the gate, just for a second." Nova flipped the switch. The wormhole closed just as the missile hit. The explosion rocked the wreck, but the gateway held. "Now," Rayan shouted, "reopen it." The wormhole returned, shining bright, wide, and stable. The battle was over. The gate was open. Humanity was free. The smoke began to clear. Fires died down across the colony. The sky turned quiet. The wormhole pulsed gently, stable and open. A bright tunnel of light spun slowly within the massive ring. It led beyond the blockade, back to the stars, back to the galaxy that had turned its back on Earth 50 years ago. Rayan stood at the base of the gateway, dust on his clothes, his face tired but calm. Around him, his team gathered, Nova with smudges of oil on her face, Eli limping from a rough landing, Dr. Vora still shaken but alive, and Tarn, standing guard, eyes sharp. They had done it. They had opened the gate. Council ships hovered above, but none fired. Captain Siren's voice came again over the comm. "We've called for a ceasefire. The council is listening now." Rayan looked to the others. "It's time." He stepped onto the small broadcast platform in front of the gate. He adjusted the mic, took a breath, and spoke, not just to the colonies, not just to the council, but to the galaxy. "This is Rayan Solas of Earth. To those who hear us, listen. We were cast out. We were silenced. But we survived. We changed. We did not rebuild through war. We rebuilt through unity, through hope. And today, we opened a door, not just to space, but to a new beginning." His voice echoed through comm channels across nearby sectors. Colonies tuned in. Even non-human worlds listened. "We do not ask for power. We ask only to be heard. To take our place again, not as enemies, but as equals." Silence followed. Then, one by one, messages began to arrive. "We hear you, Earth. You are not alone anymore. Welcome back. Across the Orient sector, signals returned to Earth's network. For the first time in decades, human colonies spoke openly. Trade routes opened. New allies reached out. Former enemies reconsidered. The Galactic Council held a vote days later. Under pressure from its own people, it lifted the ban on Earth. Not fully, but enough to allow contact, travel, and cooperation. Humanity was no longer forgotten. Back on Arvin 9, Rayan sat beside the wormhole, watching it swirl. Nova walked over and sat next to him. "You did it." "No," Rayan said. "We did." She smiled. "So what now?" Rayan looked up at the stars. "Now we rebuild, not just our world, but our name." The stars above no longer looked distant. They looked open, welcoming, full of possibilities.